Welcome, welcome. I wanted to ask you to take a moment and give yourself some attention with the intention of just checking your baseline right now. No, so that's my baseline. So checking whether you're experiencing basically openness or closed. So I'd love for you to just kind of scan your body and notice, where are you experiencing more closed? Where are you experiencing more openness? Just giving yourself that kind of curious attention to see, how is that for you today? Because what I got curious about, so I'm going to just give you a second to do that, and I'm going to give myself some attention, because you may notice that in some places you're feeling quite open. And what is this sensation of open? So how do you know you're open? And how do you know that a certain part of you, or like your back, your shoulders, your feet, are closed? So I'd like you to just notice, do you feel generally more open, or generally more closed right now? Or is there anything familiar about when you check in with you in the open closed continuum? So, like, you may feel more closed. I think a lot of people feel more closed in their mind, but they don't realize it, that their mind is closed. And so it might show up, for example, in your shoulders, because often if your mind is closed, one of the ways you do close that is in your shoulders or in your throat. So I find just the question of, where am I more open and where am I more closed, is a useful way of using my attention as I'm either I'm making a transition, I'm going into the day, I'm just giving myself some attention for a while. And I got curious today. I kind of want to come into things a little bit differently today. I want to show you the card first, because I want you to, this is all part of the plan for today. So, Michelle, if you've got
And,
that.
and of course, I didn't have it ready yet. I just
You
need
have me
one
ready?
sec.
Okay, well, let me just talk for a little bit more
Yeah,
then,
won't take
because
long.
part of what I'm up to here is how we use our attention in the different fear modes. So I think of and have experienced fear as a body sensation, but then I realized we also get fearful in the way we use our attention. And what I wanted to explore with you today is how much of your attention is fighty. Yeah, and because my sense is that that's what's being supported, encouraged, fed, is a fighty kind of a. So I actually would like you deliberately. Okay, great. The now this doesn't look fighty, but let's just go ahead and take a look at this, because this has to do with the antidote to fighty. So try this on, and then, looking at it, and then try on inside your mind. Are your thoughts mostly, are they speedy, and do they have a kind of a jaggedy quality, or rigid, or kind of me? And in fact, you might actually tune into, if there were a sound that your thoughts could make, what would that be? Would it be or so you can play with that, because you're all muted. And sometimes when you hear the sound of your own thoughts, it can give you a clue. So go ahead and let yourself now shift to imagining that your thoughts are melting. Your thoughts are getting oozy. So if you land on one that feels kind of prickly or tight, or rigid, how could you introduce oozy thought? So what's an oozy thought? For me, I immediately thought of waves. I thought of letting my mind follow waves coming into the shore, and then waves going back out. And I noticed that immediately oozed up my thoughts. I'm noticing some of you, I can see on the sidebar, are letting your bodies ooze. So we've said for a long time that the quickest way to change your mind is to change your body. And so if you're noticing closed up thoughts, notice what happens when you do the oozing, melty movement in your body, the fear melter, and let yourself invent. So from that, I'm also wanting to let myself invent oozy thoughts. So I was also having this thought of a people holding a jump rope that's going at just a really luxurious pace that I can jump in and then jump out. So shifting your rhythm also can give you oozy thoughts. Now, let me, while you're looking at this, let me just read to you the Fear Melter card. I can shift easily from the tight, quick, puffed up fight stance to oozing, like seaweed swaying in water, or hot fudge melting over ice cream, or ice cream melting over somebody's hand. Now, if there were a cat or a dog around, that would be just licked up, lickety split. I'm noticing that the bottom of this card more today, which I really am loving, all of the jaggedy, sort of fighty things that are underneath. And how I'm interpreting this also for me is that sometimes my thoughts in the background are prickly. And I might even go into a conversation with that kind of context that I'm all prickled up. And so doing oozing before I'm having a conversation, clearing up something with somebody, or even moving into a creative project, I want to check to see, am I coming from an open space, or am I coming from a fight, already protective, kind of puffing myself up? So I wanted to have you come back. Let's come on back to the big screen here, including all of us. So most of our thoughts, I think, are fighty. And one of the ways that is familiar to me to fight is to anticipate. It comes out of expectation. So I'd love for you to let your attention go out, like just to go out around you. So for those of you on the call, let your attention go out and into the room, into people who are here, and just noticing, are there, who do you find yourself kind of going, I'm going to, in order to converse with you, I have to kind of tighten myself up. I have to kind of get ready. And I'd like you to just try on what it's like to look at somebody, to give your attention from a kind of, okay, how are they going to fight with me? And then just notice. So I actually experienced, because I was looking at Jennifer, and I tried on my expectation, and I literally felt you move away. Now, I know you didn't go anywhere and I didn't go anywhere, but energetically, I felt you move away. That was pretty cool. And then coming back to you and noticing how much of the attention that you give yourself is fighty. Like, oh, what are you doing now? And how come you did that? And I'd love for you to add some oozing to your loop of awareness. So it can be very slight, so that nobody would even notice that you're oozing. You could ooze with your toes under the table so nobody sees. But as you add in oozing to your attention, let yourself just notice both what happens to you, your body sensations, but then also what happens to your receptivity, to your ability to actually connect, to feel, see, sense that other person, and to sense their impact on you. So just for a few minutes here, I'd love for you to let yourself shift your attention as letting it go out, and then letting it go back into you. And for those of you who are listening to this after we've recorded it, or are not, who are listening and not seeing, I'd love for you to think of something that you're planning today, as when you let your attention go out, let it go out into the future and then coming back to you. So another way I think we get fighty is we go out into the future instead of being right here. So you can let your attention go out and practice getting a little fighty and then oozy. And fighty, I think, also has the, especially for your mind, has the conviction that you're right, or at least you're more right, and that, of course, the other person is wrong. So I'd like you to try on that one of letting your attention go out like, well, of course I'm right. And I'm just including you because I'm being generous, or, however you speak to yourself about that. If I just explain this a little bit more slowly to you, I think you'll get it. So your fighty stuff, and then add in oozing, even if this is just going on in your head, you may think, oh, it's not really having any impact. But I just want to suggest to you that the movement of thoughts can be as powerful as the movement in your body. And so if you're fighty and then oozy, just simply want you to play with shifting your attention to getting fighty and then getting oozy. And this is in the general realm also of what I call, and what we've called, Gay and I've called for a long time, favoring the opening. So for a lot of us, when we're, and you can, now that you've got this rhythm going, you can notice when it stops. So I like to kind of get the rhythm going of my loop of awareness and do that earlier in the day as a kind of a blueprint for the day. And then when I notice that my thoughts have gotten stuck, or I'm focusing out on the other person, or I'm sensing any fightiness, I just simply add in a little oozing to my loop of awareness. And I found it especially powerful because I don't think people realize in general how much fighty is the context right now. It's sort of and sharp and quick and, what do you mean? And, people being defended. And what that means also is you can't receive the nourishment of attention. So one of our goals here with playing with loop of awareness and love scoops and all of the other tools is to become available to receive. Because if we're in fighty, we really cannot receive. The connection either bounces off or it gets fed into more fighty. So I invite you to play with this. It's been incredibly powerful. Just making that shift then allows me to focus on where is the actual opening here. So as you're and this is a profound favoring the opening. We've done a whole semester on favoring the opening and what that means and what that can create for you. But the thing I'd like you to focus on with looking for favoring the opening is, where is there space? Could be just in breath or sensing a little bit of space around the other person that you can give your attention to, or feeling a space in your body when you look at the other person that you can then rest in for a moment. So favoring the opening is so different from how most people think of, I'm going to get into this conversation to win. And and I'm all geared up and I got all my equipment. It's like, the legal drama that we've been experiencing around here for the last several weeks in the States is really all about fight. It's all about getting, grabbing, getting the other person. And when you're favoring the opening, what I find is that I move more into appreciation. I move more into, like, right now, Sasha, I was noticing your skin tone and I was just feeling this appreciation for the I kind of just can only give it sound, the and when I tried that on, I felt, this kind of deliciousness. And so as we're favoring the opening, like what's going on that is becoming, what's going on that we both share. For example, your breath. If I'm opening my breath, then that tends to favor the other person opening their breath. And so just making that shift from fight to favoring the opening can be really, really delicious. And we're at 9:15, but I would like to go ahead and also share a Presence Connect play today. All right, here's a new combo coming up. All right, I love that. So presence is notice your breath and body sensations. Notice you, breath and body sensations, and then notice others in the room. To me, this is a wonderful way to create presence in a new or unfamiliar environment. So when I come into my breath, I'm noticing my breath and my body sensations. I'm literally favoring what's opening, what I'm giving my attention to what's present. And when I do that, I'm located. And when I'm located, I give myself the message of safety. I'm safe here. It's safe for me to connect. It's safe for me to open. And so breath and body sensations for me are part of the fundamental practice of a loop of awareness because they're so reliable. What's going on right now? And then here I am right now in this moment. Let me see if there's anything else about. So if I'm not present, if I try to connect with somebody and I'm not present yet, I find I tend to go more into a fear response. And I think most of us will start with a fight response because that's the sort of the gorilla response, the oh, and the other person goes oh, and then that's your that's your connection. So rather than that, if you're oozing, if you're giving attention to your breath and body sensations, I find that there's then a magical way of connecting. So let's say, okay, and then connect is fear melters, which is just what we've been doing. So here's the thing about fear melters. You can do all of them or just one of them or do a combination. You can do little mini ones. You can do great big ones. You can add sound. You can add intention. But simply practicing your fear melters, like if you're going into a new situation and you let yourself just do a little oozing or wiggling your toes as you're moving in, for your 2 minutes, you will change your state. So fear melters, just a reminder that we know you can physiologically shift out of fear if you let yourself do fear melters for 2 minutes. So if you're in the middle of a meeting or something big or unexpected happens, if you've been practicing your fear melters, you can shift very quickly. And what that allows you to do is to turn the fear into juice that you can use. It's like filling your tank again rather than having to wait till you're not scared. And when you plug in to your presence and you're doing fear melters, then you can think and you can respond. So rather than reacting, because fear, that is just a reactive state. Oh, and then this is interesting. So play is chunk. So chunk, that would be one you want to look up on the website. So by the way, we have a whole new website. Maybe you could list that. Let's do that for the next several weeks because people may not know that that's available. I saw that, Michelle. Thank you. That it will give you more of a definition of what the heck is chunking. So what that is just taking, it's like a breath size, a bite size, bit of action or communication. So how that often shows up is if I'm in a conversation, we've had a misunderstanding and I want to clear it up. If I start telling you everything that happened up until this thing that occurred between us, I'm not actually connecting with you, or am I connecting with what's going on in me? I'm just kind of so chunking allows you to come into your breath, allows you to make a communication that's available for the other person to connect with you and to respond. So chunking also, if I'm giving directions to somebody, like if someone says, well, how do I get to da 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 da? And I find it much more effective one if I chunk, like I say, well, first, so from where you are right now, and I just chunk that. So from where you are right now, you're going to go to the right. And I'm using my body and I'm chunking and I'm doing just like one phrase. And then when you get to the corner, so the corner, when you get to the corner, and so I'm using my body and I'm chunking and I'm using loop of awareness to check to see, am I connecting? So I go and I can then see and feel if I've lost them. They turned right and then they turned left instead of right. And so I go, okay, wait a minute, let's come back here. So here you are, and then turn your body, you're going to go this way. And when you get to the corner, you will see, and then, and I describe that. So it allows me to keep connecting in the conversation. Because very often, like I experience this with my IT guys. They'll come in and they'll say, well, first you have to click command with this, and then that'll take you to this page. And then all you have to do is, go down the trim, and then you click this one and it'll take you to, and that's it. And I'm going, what's the first button I'm supposed to? So, so one of the ways that we get disconnected is by the people don't check. So one of the great things about loop of awareness is it allows you to check, are we still here together? Are we still, like, whoops, lost you there. And then I can just say, oops, looks like I lost you. Okay, so where did we lose connection here? So I was at the corner, where are you? and then I find that people are incredibly receptive to that kind of a correction, and feel deeply seen and appreciated if someone will like, oh, I don't have to keep up with you, you're actually checking. This is part of caring, is that I'm checking, are you still with me? So like if you have a little kid, I was remembering taking my son for a walk, I would keep checking that I was not going at a pace that was too fast that he would fall over, or he wants to go off in another direction. But if I'm not checking, I mean, I'm sure you've seen people like dragging their kids along too, going faster, going slower, but there's no connection there. There's just moving and doing. So when you're wanting to connect, I find that what we've been practicing today really allows me to move from fear into that open space. And even if it's just a breath or two, that starts a whole new experience of presencing. And so I can recover during the day, even if I've had some upset or something unexpected, by using the combination of, particularly the fear melters with your loop of awareness. Very powerful. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. And I'd love, so when I'm doing loop of awareness and when you're doing loop of awareness, you will get feedback. So if you're looking, people will let you know, so I'm seeing changes of expression, people moving. But if I were just giving directions, like it's important for me to give you these directions because that's my job, and I'm leaving you out of it, I'm leaving out the whole point. So I'd love to have you experiment with this and, and let us know how it goes, because these are really intended to open and deepen our sense of connection and the nourishment of attention. So I want to thank you for being here, because I find this time of the week so nourishing, and it's a wonderful way for me to start the week. And I really appreciate you all being here. Love the feedback. Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and take my leave for now. Also, to just let you know, Gay is doing great. He's getting better every day. We found this major medication that he needed and finally got it arranged so that he can grow more bone. And so right now he's sleeping, and I think he may even have a cat on him at the moment. So thank you so much. And please stay and converse and have a big talk, and I'll see you next time. Mwah. Bye now.